I'm sure everyone like me has experienced the never-ending onslaught of rats. Then there's that hyena right there just laughing at you, just casually feeding on the corpses of those rats. Yeah, so that's just how Beast works, but I'm pretty sure it's just the mama bear that's doing all the hard work. Welcome guys to my take on the guide for Beast. Let's jump right in. Let's talk about the advantages and the disadvantages of Beast. First of all, the advantages. So the Beasts have very strong immediate buffs. Form of Pack Leader and Mama Bear. The buffs are permanent when a beast is played after the buffer. They have very good synergies with Death Rattle. So they also have Cleave in the form of Hydra and Poison in the form of Myexna. So now let's talk about the disadvantages. They rely heavily on the buffers. They have no Divine Shield and there are only two really good buffers. So these are the two minions that I would like you to pay close attention to. First is Pack Leader and second is the Mama Bear. These are the main two buffers for Beast. And these are some of the Death Rattle beasts that will be able to synergize really well with your buffers. So let's talk about the best hero synergy. So first of all, I'd like to talk about the AFK. You can get the Hydra from the tier 4, the Pack Leader from the tier 3. And let's move on to Nefarian. Since beasts do not have access to the Divine Shield, Nefarian can help you get rid of other Divine Shields from the max. Then Toki, where you can use your hero power to get higher tier cards easily. And then moving on, let's talk about Putricide. Putricide is actually one of my favorite when playing Beast, because he can combo early with the Rat Pack, and also he can combo with the Hydra to swipe. So other combinations such as the Rat King, when his hero power lands on Beast, and then you can get additional stats on your Beast. At least with a hero power to find combo pieces. Patchwork himself, since he's such a versatile card. We have Judge the Fallen, which can help overcome the weaknesses of no Divine Shield. And then not to mention, the Sin Dragosa can freeze the Beast and put them in the Hyperbolic Time Chamber. And last but not least, King Mukla himself. So there are actually a lot of heroes that can actually make Beast work, but these are just some of the examples as a beginner that you can try for yourself. So let's talk about the early game. So in the early game, there are two Beasts, Alley Cat and Direwolf Alpha. Trying to pick up the Alley Cat is always probably the best option. So the Rockpool Hunter and the Vulgar Homunculus in the tier 1 tavern have the highest stats. So by considering these facts, if you do pick these two cards up, you'll most likely be able to conserve your health as much as possible in the early game. So an alternative, if you don't get the Rockpool Hunter or the Vulgar Homunculus, would be the Tide Hunter Murloc and the Alley Cat. So the battle cries of these two minions will be able to generate an additional minion. So on turn 3, when you have 5 mana, you can sell off one of the minions generated by the battle cry, and then you'll be able to purchase 2 minions. Or alternatively, on turn 4, and when you have 6 mana, you can sell off one of the minions and upgrade your tier and purchase an additional minion. So if you do not encounter any good cards on turn 2, you should most definitely upgrade so that you gain access to this tier 2 minion. So in the tier 2 list, there are 5 beast cards including the Amalgam. The only sole exception here is the Zubat because it is used to buff your Amalgam and your beast cards. So in the early game, you do come across a Spawn of N'Zoth, and you have 4 to 6 minions on the board. You should pick up the Spawn of N'Zoth. The reason to this is because the Death Rattle of the Spawn of N'Zoth gives your other minions +1 health and +1 damage. And what this will do in the early game is, it could help you increase your survivability of your minions. And also, that +1 damage could potentially help your minions kill off the enemies without dying. So you could inflict more damage with more of your minions surviving. So if you do pick up a Spawn of N'Zoth, make sure it is the first minion to attack, so you have to put it on the left side of your board. If you do encounter an Amalgam, try to pick it up. You should always try to incorporate an Amalgam into your composition, simply due to its versatility it can provide, as well as all the synergy it has with all the buff cards that exist in the game. So here's a list of all the battle cries that can increase his stats, as well as give him Poison, Divine Shield, as well as Taunt. So now we will talk about the mid game. For the tier 3 minions, there are 3 cards that are related to Beast. The most important card being the Pack Leader. The pack leader has an effect that gives +3 attack to all your beasts. This will trigger in battle as well as in the tavern. So any minions that you place after pack leader is inside will gain +3 attack. So the infested roof combos really well with the pack leader. So if you have a Hellmaster giving your infested wolf a taunt, it can protect your pack leader and generate 2 spiders that will receive the buff from the pack leader. What this will do is hopefully prevent your hyena from dying too early in the round. Moving into the tier 4 minion, there is the Cave Hydra. So the Cave Hydra provides the cleave for the beast stack. So if you're able to find a way to buff its damage up, you will be able to clear 2 to 3 minions within the first attack. Now let's talk about the cards that can buff your beast. So the first card is the Managerial Magician in this tier. His effect is to buff a random beast, dragon and murloc. So if you have an amalgam, this buff can also be given to the amalgam. So followed by the Vermin Sensei. The Vermin Sensei is able to give a targeted buff to a beast. So after talking about all the beasts, there is the beast card himself. So the beast card is not a beast that I would recommend because there are much better beasts out there in the other tiers, but if you do happen to come upon it very early in the game, you can pick it up and do pretty good amount of damage to your opponents as it is a tier 4. So I would like to mention that the Toxfin is available in tier 4. So if you have an amalgam, now would be a good time to pick it up. So if you happen to notice that your hyenas and buffers are in need of protection, the tier 4 also has the Defender of Argus. So the taunt targets that you want to try to prioritize are the Death Rattle ones. So this will allow your hyenas and your buffers to be safe. So what this does is this will allow your minions' Death Rattle effects to trigger. And after spawning the beast cards that will receive the buff from the pack leader, you will be able to buff up your hyena as well as get rid of the enemy's minions. So in the tier 5 list, there is probably one of the best beast cards in Cauldron. So if you're able to taunt it up, it will guarantee the +4/+4 buff onto your beast. So imagine having 2 of this card. Yeah, imagine the possibilities. So moving on, let's talk about the Ironhide Direhorn. So the Ironhide Direhorn's effect will only trigger if it is attacking. And the Overkill effect will trigger when it deals damage that exceeds the enemy's health. The minion that spawns from attack is also a beast and will receive the buff from your buffers. So once you gain access to the Savannah Highmane, so you can start swapping it out with your infested wolves and your kindly grandmothers. So the Savannah Highmane is also a really good option to taunt up. So when you're in tier 5, there is the option of picking up the Lightfang Enforcer, which is a better growth card, as you can buff up your beast cards and your amalgam. The Sated Treasure here is probably the only card that I wouldn't recommend picking up, as its Death Rattle effect is pretty detrimental as it clogs up your board. So finally, we have arrived in the late game. So there are 4 beasts that are available in tier 6. The Mama Bear being the most important and must pick up for a beast composition. So Mama Bear has the exact same effect as the pack leader, but it gives slightly better stats and also more health to the minion. So the other option here is to get Maexna if the opponent has a really big minion that your beasts are finding a hard time to kill. So you better substitute any random beast here for a Maexna to get rid of the big minion. So Gentle Megasaur here is just to buff up your amalgam by giving it options such as Divine Shield, Taunt, Wind Fury, and any other likely buffs. So if you reach this point and you're unable to come up with really good cards, the Gas Coiler is actually a pretty good alternative because it summons 2 random Death Rattle minions. And Death Rattle minions are actually, some of them can be beasts and some of them can be legendary cards. So the potential for Gas Coiler is actually pretty good, but I would not recommend picking it up unless you have no other choices left. So when you're finally acquired the Mama Bear card and you're about to get a gold card, it's always better to keep in mind to try to maximize the stats you can gain from the gold card. So you should always play the first 2 minions before purchasing the 3rd minion so that you can give the first 2 minions the buff from Mama Bear. And then the third minion that comes in and when you place it will receive the Momo Bear's buff once again. So this is the way you can maximize the buffs gained from Momo Bear. So finally, let's talk about positioning, which is probably the most important thing in this deck. So the first minion that you want attacking is probably going to be your Hydra. Your Hydra can perform cleave, and the cleave can potentially kill up to 3 minions if the Hydra has enough attack points. So in the first minion that you want attacking a Hydra, Goldrin, as well as probably your growth cards, in order to clear space for your Death Rattle cards that follow. So in your second or third and fourth positions, you're going to start filling it with your Death Rattle minion, such as the Infested Wolves, the Kindly Grandmother, and the High Mane. So what this will do is, it's possible that you want all these cards to be taunted up, so that you are able to protect your buff cards as well as your Hyena. So towards the end of the spectrum, in position 5 and 6, where you probably want your Hyena to be. So keep in mind that the Beast Comp can function with or without the Hyena. So you can also slot in Amalgam if it is buffed up, pretty beefed up there actually. So you want him to absorb as much damage as possible without dying, as you can have the poison buff and the taunt buff on it. So you want all of the minions to be attacking it or anything else. So lastly, the minions that you want attacking last are your buff cards, which include the Momo Bear and the Pack Leader. So it's probably in your best interest to have your buff cards attacking last to maximize the survivability and to ensure that the buffs land on all your beast cards and death rattles. So once again, I would like to thank everyone for watching my video. Please leave any comments on what you think of the video and any other suggestions that you would like me to make. So I will read through all the comments and reply to them. And once again, thanks again for supporting my channel, and I will see you in the next one.